Ladies and gentlemen, today I bring you a 3v3 Homeworld free matchcast. Now that is something different, I think, from a 1v1. I'm really hoping that this is not gonna be as spam focused, that the motherships are not gonna be on top of each other. There are a few shortcomings to address. Right off the bat, I have no idea what the players are called. So I'm going through these different players and there is no indication whatsoever about their name. Even in the chat panel, there is just no information. But we do have two Higueran players so far. We've got a Incarnate player, and they're all moving closer towards their future resource spots. There's another Incarnate player, so 2 on 2. I have no idea even who is on what team. That's another huge issue in this replay mode. There is no live spectating either, by the way, so people actually would have to send me replays in order to do it. I will put an email address into the description so you can send me your replays for me to cover here on the YouTubes. Now, so 3 versus 3 with the different factions covered. Very, very nice. There is no access also to the build menu, so I have no idea what people are building. If I go to the population view, maybe with player 1's camera, no, even that doesn't work. So yeah, we're just gonna have to wing it and free cast it, and only the submitting player's camera is what we have captured. I have no idea who's on whose side, but we're gonna figure this out, loosely speaking, and hopefully at least have a little bit of cool action going on. But yeah, everything's pretty standard. People do need to be making more resource collectors, however, or controllers, as they're called. The initial 2 are certainly not enough, so the sooner you can get to at least 6 is, I think, the ideal place to be. You can also put multiple resource controllers on the same resource node. However, bear in mind that they'll be gobbled up pretty quickly, right? And then you'll have to move on to the new one, which means that both of the resource controllers will be completely idle in that process, as opposed to the resource node lasting twice as long when you're spread out, and thus delaying that idle period significantly. So everybody is making a good amount of extra resource controllers, just based on the distances, and the different factions at least are helping us tell apart who's doing what exactly. We've got tons of the initial strike craft, of course, but the assault corvettes are popping out for our Incarnate faction. They are typically able to get it faster because it's the only real research that you can do at the beginning of the game. There's only the dominance fighter, rather than having a separate bomber and a separate recon. So this is a bit of a multi-role unit. We've got our first engagement, however. Higueran on Higueran action. These bombers are very spooky. However, everyone is put into the Delta formation, which is not very effective. Actually, most of the units, most of the time, will not be shooting. So I would recommend Claw, X, or the Sphere formations in order to make sure that your units are firing as much as possible. These guys do appear to be idle for the moment and aren't helping out in the battle. But if they did, they sure would swing the fight. Now, Higueran on Higueran is awkward to spectate like this. So I have no idea which one belongs to which side. Blackbird absolutely needs to provide some kind of spectating option where the real player colors are shown with the real player names and an indicator of what team they're on, because this is just going to be difficult. But what I can do for you guys right now is to just make sure it looks nice, right? So we can follow this fight around and hope for the best. YOLO. We'll turn off all these little interfaces. Why can't I zoom in on the individual recon? What is going on? It's like they're going below my camera plane as well. I have never seen that before, but a lot of reinforcements are coming in here. I think we can go lower with this grid view. Oh my god, performance just tanked as I activated that, so we found one more thing. Yeah, free camera doesn't seem to be allowing me to go down. Let's take a look at player 1's camera, perhaps. Oh, they're also looking at nothing, so there is a bit of a desync situation there. Wow. Well, I'll still be posting this. We'll cover it the best we can. The dominance fighters are looking pretty dominant to me. They seem to have assumed a claw formation there, which has them firing most of the time. However, they do turn and rotate as a formation, which can be sometimes tough because it allows you to get behind them, and then that happens. Faster interceptors seem to be just absolutely annihilating them, and these dominance fighters are essentially toast. So the Higarans here have a little bit of an ability to move on to other targets, but assault frigates are now coming out from pretty much all sides. And one thing I'm curious to see, on this bigger map, I'm not sure that there's any good opportunities for platform placement on these megaliths, but maybe that is the case. We also have attack frigates from the Incarnate, essentially the same as assault frigates, even in terms of their ability, but the multi-beam frigates are already out, so the resource income must be great for this specific Incarnate player. Dogfighting has gotten to new levels as well, and now with the attack frigates joining, there's a little bit of an anchor to it. Plasma corvettes also doing huge amounts of damage against resource controllers, so when you have those out, those are the first targets for your opponents. Oh, this is going to be a sick big boom. Unfortunately, I can hide all the camera stuff, or the UI stuff. That is great. Unfortunately, doesn't make it clear what is selected and what is not, but hey, here we go. This mothership is under heavy bombardment. Oh my goodness, that is so many frigates. We have got beam frigates and assault frigates, of course, attack frigates, excuse me. You do want to have both because, simply put, in Homeworld 3, there are so many resources available from the very get-go. As you pump out your initial resource controllers, that you're always going to be able to pump a load of units. So plasma corvettes and all these frigates are an essential target here to take out. And if that's not gonna happen, this mothership is gonna blow. So much damage delivered on this thing, multiple players targeting it down, and yeah, it's trying to rotate into a different stance, but I'm not sure it's gonna help against these super accurate ion cannons. Yeah, mothership does go boom, and that will also delete every single unit that belongs to this player, I'm assuming, because the mothership win condition is the most common one. One player down. Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. We've got a ton of assault corvettes here that should be able to deal with this furball of interceptors. My game is running at 20 frames per second right now. Absolutely brutal. This multi-beam frigate currently using its ability with the focus beams. I do wonder whether we'll get to the destroyer stage. I think there's a good chance for it, actually. Frigate on frigate action. This is a massive wall, and if nothing gets to them, they will just obliterate the other side fairly easily. It seems to me the vast majority of units on this part of the screen is of the same team. Everybody has to retreat and regroup. It is now a 3v2, so that's going to be real awkward. This mothership up top, also very well positioned, by the way, atop there, because the Incarnate mothership launches from this bay, so it's very convenient to go downwards, but not so much to go upwards. Something small to keep in mind. All these bombers, I do wish we got to see their cloak ability a little bit, because that is something that could potentially clean up the frigate wall that we've seen. But tell you what, these Higarans are absolutely going to need both the suppression frigates, which is great to see here, but also their own ion cannons. And, you know, when we're 9 minutes into the game, almost 10 now, maybe destroyers can't be too far off. We've got the first carriers coming out. which is a great way to spend the surplus resources. By the way, I just noticed none of the Hiagaran players are gathering resources with their motherships. That is a Hiagaran special. Oh my god, we've got the first destroyer, but it's incarnate. Yeah, so Hiagaran is better than incarnate because they can gather resources with the mothership. Plus, from the very get-go, because of that, you have more income, which means you can spam recons, interceptors, and bombers. That is 3 units versus 1 type that you can spam. And you typically will be unlocking railgun corvettes at the same time as the incarnate forces would be unlocking the assault corvettes. So that is a huge little economic disparity between the 2 races. And I have to be favoring Hiagarans there, even though the dominance fighters are technically superior to the Hiagaran counterpart. There's just more stuff. There is just more stuff. Now let's see if that destroyer can come into the equation there. It's currently idling by the mothership. Huge issue. These 2 players are tightly wound up together. I love to see the support frigates. They're such a great addition to this. But they are in danger. Right, that's just a lot of stuff up here. And once the frigates start opening up, oh, excuse me, that's the other team. See, I got debated there. So support frigates are only getting blasted by these multi-beam frigates, really. I think they should be able to out-repair that as well. We got some plasma corvettes now ready to join in the fight, and the massive frigate wall from earlier has arrived, so those Hiagarans are gonna be in for a rough time. Oh, excuse me, Incarnate are gonna be in for a rough time. Once again, mixed up the teams. It is hard to keep up with all the same colors. How am I supposed to cast this? I am really trying here. But, oh boy, this needs some loving. Just really enjoying these multi-beam frigates. They're so beautiful. Really has a Vagrant-like aesthetic, don't they? Alright, we gotta see that destroyer in action now. Where is it? Got 2 carriers. Well, that is better than 0. I'm not even sure if the other guys have any. Yes, they do. The carriers are now coming out. There's 2 carriers there. The destroyer on this side. Hiagaran 1. Do they look too similar to the frigates, by the way? I think they do. Hopefully they'll soon enter the fighting. I think we're just gonna go cinematic mode to enjoy the pew-pew. It's like a big delay on turning off the camera, but it works. Frigate on, frigate action. The assault frigates are really not suitable at taking on the ion ones. Even with their ability, they're just not tanky enough. You would need support frigates to make that a fair fight. In addition. Whoa. Camera controls are rough when you've got the UI off. More multi-beam frigates joining, but it seems like it's just meat in the grinder. The frigate wall is still here, and doesn't seem like anything can be taking it on, but the underdog team is sure putting up a big fight. And they're doing that very nicely, I'm thinking. Fighter Furball might be able to clean up some of these, but it doesn't seem like they're just high enough in number, and they're mostly dominance fighters. They're not quite as good as bombers at the job. Oh god, here come the torpedo frigates for some long-range support. Remember guys, if brute force isn't working, you're not using enough brute force. That's certainly what we're looking at here. Several destroyers are out. Let's see if they're any good against the wall of frigates. They're certainly heavily outnumbered. Hopefully they have enough support here from the assault frigates so that they can put up at least a little bit of a fight. But I'm thinking these torpedo frigates can just kite them until the end of days. Oh god. Oh god, another wall of frigates showing up. Fleet bombers showing up. I think the destroyers will not be able to hold against that. But we're sure gonna have some fireworks first. What a mess with the formation. What are these ships doing? I mean, these multi-beam frigates are just rotating in space like a headless chicken. They should be pointing their guns forward, and sometimes they do it, but only when they really want to. The destroyer is good, but not that good. Kind of as predicted, so being down a team member from the early game has devastating effects, as predicted. Oh, that's a battle cruiser! It looks too similar to the frigates, and it got warped by the explosion for a second. There's destroyers on this side too. I'm sorry, these ships are too similar to distinguish at range. Like, that's a destroyer, that's a frigate, that's a battle cruiser. They look the same silhouette. I think that should have really been more differentiated. I think the Higaran ones do it a little better, but even they are too similar with the destroyers almost looking like an assault frigate. Either way, we get to see the big guns finally. Not very often that they show up in multiplayer games, but 3v3s, I think there's a high chance of getting to them. So let's enjoy the fireworks as that mothership is getting blown to smithereens. Whoa, that's a sideways ion cannon, or beam. It doesn't seem to have many front-mounted guns. It does have a torpedo tube up front. Is that a Higaran battlecruiser? It is! It got out for a moment, but it's also gonna be blown to smithereens. It just can't hold against that massive wall of frigates. Several battle cruisers as well, by the way. Mothership on mothership action. That one's about to blow. And I think the leading team is just gonna put this away with the other mothership, with the other mothership also following suit soon. Can't believe I clipped through the camera during the explosion. That was unfortunate. But yeah, this is all ogre now. Oh, there's a battle cruiser coming out for the end of the party. Well, it's too late, buddy. You're gonna go down, and this game is over. Please, 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 Blackbird Interactive, give us a little bit of visibility over who's who in replays. I want to keep doing this, but it's a hard sell right now. It's a really hard sell. I do hope that people enjoyed the cast, though. I will try some more, but perhaps 1v1, and perhaps requiring that the factions are not mirrored. That way we can at least tell apart what's going on. I think that's the way forward for at least the moment to get some casts out. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.